take your money and you put it in this secret spot. 2, you let that money grow with compound interest. 3, then you find a place for that money to go where it can work for you. 4, and then every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, you join me for a wealth webinar.
I'll do it.
It's free. Plus, if you join me now, you'll get my free ebook that teaches you to get all the money back for every car you buy, drive, and own. So take advantage of this opportunity and I'll see you there.
Hey, are you ready to take control of your financial future? Welcome to Private Money Club. Private Money Club is the ultimate online platform connecting real estate entrepreneurs with private money lenders just like you. Whether you're looking to fund your next deal or lend money to grow your wealth, Private Money Club is your go-to resource. You can post deals, find funding, connect with other like-minded professionals. It's just a community. It's a community that you need to plug into. If you're new to the game, no problem. Our Learn platform and our weekly coaching webinars and our on-demand resources are here to guide you every step of the way. Join a thriving network of real estate experts who are already making an impact, and they're waiting to partner with you. So Private Money Club gives you the tools, the training, the connections, and everything you need to achieve your financial goals. So why don't you start now by going to privatemoneyclub.com. We'll see you inside. Hey, you need to become your own bank. And it's as simple as changing one thing, and that is where your money goes first. I mean, think about it. Household debts in this country are at all-time highs. You got tons of market volatility. You got the potential for Social Security running out of money. You've got global uncertainty, political divide, and you have to figure out where you're going to put your hard-earned savings. I mean, this is one of those times in history where the rich are getting richer, and it is time to learn the secrets of the wealthy. But here's the good news. Every single Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I put on a free webinar where I teach you how to take back control of your money by teaching you how to become your own bank. So click the link below and let's get started. So let's go into the app, because the app was created after a dating site, believe it or not. So people with money and people that need money. Phone, swipe left. Swipe left. Ooh, I like that one. Swipe right. You want to go on. If you got money, you want to swipe left through all the deals. When you find one you like, boom, you're connected. How much more difficult does this really need to be? This isn't rocket science. They want you to think it is because they want control of your money. It is time to take back control of our money. I want to invite you to a free interactive webinar that we're doing to teach you how to get prepared for what's about to happen and how you can grow, preserve, and protect your wealth and get it ready for a recession or maybe the next Great Depression. So all I need you to do is click the link below. You're not going to want to miss this with all this stuff going on. Are you sick of having your money lying around not doing anything? Well, we've got the solution for you. PrivateMoneyClub.com. Back to you, Chris. So that's what it is. Private Money Club was created for you and for all of us. So I've got something special. Since you're here, you're listening to us talk to you about the infinite banking concept, I wanted to make an offer. Private Money Club is something that will benefit each of you, but we've got what's called the Accelerator. The Private Money Club Accelerator is a coaching program that takes together the knowledge that you'll need to be your own bank and puts it together with the opportunities in Private Money Club so that now you learn and apply the knowledge. Check it out. We got a very special offer for you to be part of the next Accelerator coaching program and get you into Private Money Club so your money starts working for you.
Hey everybody, it's Buff Finance Guy here, ready to show you how to make some serious gains, but not only in the gym, with your wallet too. Most people put their money in the bank doing absolutely nothing for them, but I'm gonna show you how it doesn't have to be that way. So take Andrew here. His money has just been sitting lazy in the bank, but all he has to do is change one thing, and that's where the money goes first, and everything changes. Just change where your money goes first, silly.
Wait, just one change?
Yeah, that's it. Instead of sending it to the bank, you send it to your very own banking system. And your money can grow and get stronger, just like me.
It's time for Money School TV. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth.
The Money School TV strives to bring you the most relevant content of how money really works, past, present, and future. It's not a one-size-fits-all system. This platform provides you with ways to implement strategic decisions while avoiding fear-based decisions at all costs. Totally digital with new content added all the time on financial wealth creation strategies and how to regain control of your money. This 2-hour monthly group coaching with Chris Snoggle is available now for only $19 per month. This is something you don't want to miss. Click the link below to get access now.
You've been on the fence to come to PMC Money Tank. I'm telling you right now, you're missing out on a treat.
This is the ultimate watering hole for lenders and borrowers.
If you've got decent deals, you'll find the funding for it.
The networking here has been fantastic.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Tremendously beneficial.
Oh my gosh, so many people to network with.
First day, I probably met 5 or 6 people. They show me ideas, I show them ideas. We're actually on stage about 20 minutes ago, and since then, I've already had about 20 people reach out.
There are several people that I probably will be doing business with.
I have like 15 private lenders ready to fund my deals. The people here are amazing and so welcoming.
You walk in, everyone greets you right away. No one is a stranger.
It's just an amazing and comfortable place to be.
There's so much stuff that I've been able to learn that I didn't know. I've had aha moments over and over again.
They talked about normal rates of return, not 6%, we're talking about 10%, but in a way that's ethically sound and stable. It's full disclosure, but helps walk you through everything. They even talk about it on stage of like, we've already made the mistakes, so here we are, and we're teaching you to not make the same mistakes. You get to learn from us, you get to just follow our direction and just see what you can do. I've gotten great things out of the virtual events, but there's no comparison to actually coming here, experiencing the energy, and getting to meet all of the people. Everyone is here looking to grow in some capacity. Being in this environment, it allows you to feed on that and foster that.
During the event, they had a lender-borrower meet and greet, which is pretty cool.
It's different when you can spend some time, have a meal together, hang out, joke around. The people are just a blast.
It's so much fun.
The community of the Money Tank PMC, the whole crew with Chris, Steven, Jonah, everybody, and Joe, they've all helped me out. It's been changing my life.
You're gonna learn something, you're gonna meet someone, and it's definitely gonna make a big difference in your business. Not by a little bit, but by a lot.
I mean, you could stay stuck thinking you can do it on your own. Was a lot of people that I talked to, their issue, and then they come here, and I talk to them a year later, and they've grown so much just by coming to this event.
Started $15,000 in credit card debt. As of today, I have $550,000 out in private lending. That's what this teaches you.
I tell people all the time, you have to get in the room to be around the like-minded people.
Go. It's worth it. Just come. Do it for yourself. Do it for your business.
Take action. You got to do it.
Come to the event. You don't want to miss it.
Well, the biggest thing I hope that people get is something that they can actually apply in their lives. You know, that's the biggest thing for any of these events that we want. We want people to leave here not just riled up, not just excited, but actually going out and doing something that'll put them in a better financial situation, help their family. And for the speakers, my goal is that they go out and they impact the audience and bring something the audience never had exposure to that allows them to then fill in that piece that they're looking for. I'm going to be talking about more lease options. I'm going to be talking about equity shares. I'm going to be talking about a bunch of fun stuff today. Because again, I'm not here to teach about how to do those deals. I'm here to teach about how to invest in those deals.
Filled with individuals that are like-minded, that are at the top of their craft, they're at the top of their game. And for anybody that's an attendee, it's just a mind-blowing experience.
It's almost going to be hard to speak anywhere else but here because it was such a great experience. I felt like, I don't know. It was amazing. Nothing less than amazing, literally.
At the PMC Money Tank event, which is an epic event that we're putting together that does one thing and one thing only, makes everybody money. It brings people with money together with people that need money. It's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You just smash them together and everybody wins.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, internets. What's going on? I am your leftist friend. My name is Saint James, and in the studio today, virtually that is, we have the immortal Brian Fouts. Brian, say hello.
What's going on, everybody? Good morning.
All right, as you can see, Steve Nagy and Chris Nogler are not here today, but we are still holding it down for WTF so that you can find out all the news and views of what's going on in the world and in your neighborhood today the best that we can. Brian, I'm really excited to be working with you today. We've got a number of amazing topics to cover. We got to figure out what's going on with the economy because there's a lot of money moving around, and it seems like it's an endless supply, but it may not be reaching the right places. I'm sure you've been keeping up with your favorite media outlets. What do you think what else has been coming across your feed there?
Well, a lot of stuff, actually. Obviously, gold and that kind of stuff, seeing how that's been flowing right now. I've been watching that. Seeing how, obviously the politics are, I guess, interpreting what's happening with the money. Kind of seeing what their take is on it. And obviously, I don't really believe a lot of what they say.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep. And also I used to be really big in the internet marketing space, and I've seen some crazy things happening in that arena as well with a big name that I'm very familiar with now being investigated by the SEC.
Yes, because he's got knowledge. So if you don't know, you don't know who we're talking about, you're going to want to make sure you stay tuned. Because I'm looking forward to talking about him. That's a little spicy. That's spicier than hot sauce on a cat's tail. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, and unfortunately, I've been close to a couple ponds. I've even seen the insides of how it operates after the fact. Whew, it's going to be a show for sure. I'm going to work on that one.
All right. And for those of you, thank you again, everybody who tuned in. And I want to give a special shout out to all the people who already purchased a ticket for the Money Tank Orlando, November 7th and 8th. Brian, I'm not sure how many times you've attended these events, but every time that I've attended a Money Tank event, whether it be in Salt Lake City, whether it be Denver, all these places that they've been held, I've always come away like so motivated, and not just motivated, but also I have knowledge that's actionable. Right. I went to the one in Charlotte. I went to the one in Utah, and it's great stuff. And we have one coming up. It's going to be November 7th and 8th, which, Sean, I'm not sure if you're listening, is going to be a few days after my birthday. And I'm looking forward to that as well. So there are seats still available because we do try to keep this as an intimate venue as possible. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of learning, a lot of networking. And there's going to be a lot of deals that are going to be coming out of that room. So looking forward to that. So we're going to, what do you got there?
No, absolutely. Because I've gone to a lot of masterminds, a lot of events, and those ones you always come away with, well, just knowledge, of course, but it's actionable knowledge. Because I always say that, knowledge is great, but knowledge plus action is really powerful. And then obviously putting face to names, being around people that have the same goals, the same motivations, the same focus as you is a huge motivator. Because sometimes we're kind of on an island by ourselves, right? And so when you get together with other people that are like-minded, man, that's powerful, and I'm looking forward to the mastermind here in a week and a half. The TMM, the Money Multiplier Mastermind, that's going to be a great one as well. Going to put some names and some faces at that event. And so I love going to events, and I used to travel about, I think it was 6 weeks a year to events. I don't do that anymore because I got kind of burnt out of it. But now I strategically choose ones that I know are going to be powerful. And obviously the ones you're talking about, man, they're going to be amazing.
Awesome stuff. So we're going to hop into it. Check this. Okay, so for our first topic, tell me what financial cycle we're at right now. We're not technically in a recession. We're not necessarily in a depression. We were talking about being in something somewhere in between where we are going to be experiencing a lot of shrinkflation. But let's toss these numbers out to you. Okay, let me make sure I read this. I'm gonna put on my reading glasses. The GDP has posted a robust 4% growth, while employment has still remained relatively weak. Mm-hmm. So how do those numbers come together in your position there, Brian?
So I was looking at this here last night and this morning, and you can read the media and what they're saying. They're saying there's gains in productivity. AI and tech is really big right now. So a lot of money is going into AI. Insane amounts of money, by the way, are being just plowed into AI. But additionally, I also believe the government likes to artificially prop up the markets. And we're in the longest kind of bull run right now of increase that we've ever seen. It's never been this long before. And so I think we're in this artificially propped up environment where we should be in a recession. We should be in a down market, but the powers that be have come in and said, no, we're going to push the can down the road so that the blame doesn't fall on us. And it's not party specific, in my opinion. It's both parties doing that right now. And they're doing it because for their own benefits, I believe, not really ours, because when the markets do eventually go off the cliff, it's going to be a very high cliff. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And I just believe that, even during COVID, there was a bunch of money that infused into the economy, and they should have let that just go its natural course, but they don't do that. They don't do that. Now, what's the results of what happens when they do this? So when the government pumps money into the system, it takes about 3 years, in my opinion, for it to trickle down, to the people and to see the effects of it. So what's the first thing that happens? Well, it's inflation, right? That's what happens, but it takes a long time. So printing money causes massive inflation, but it takes time, right? Now, what's the second biggest cause of inflation?
Excess money.
Excess money. And what's the vehicle that does it? I know some people know this because I've talked about it before.
Let's go real estate, right? We're saying that's
real estate, but I would say banks. Because
Okay.
banks use fractional reserve banking. So when the government prints money, where does it go? Well, eventually it goes into the hands of corporations and sometimes people, which put it into banks. Then banks use fractional reserve banking, turn around and lend out 9 times what they've taken in, further causing inflation. And so I think we're seeing a lot of that effects right now, but it started, 5 years ago.
Right. I'm very interested about this because I think you brought up some really strong points. One, it's bipartisan. Nobody wants to be stuck in government with the egg on their face. We can talk about infusions of cash on both sides, and I'm not here to point fingers. That's for you guys to debate if you want to point fingers at particular political parties. At the end of the day, this is still America. And when we're talking about how much GDP is growing, we can literally use looking at the SPY index and say, look, most of the SPY index is weighted by the FANG stocks, the Magnificent 7, 8 or 9, whatever it is right now. Yeah. And when they are moving so much money between each other, it's a cyclical pattern. NVIDIA, OpenAI, subsidiary kind of Microsoft. It's now Oracle has now been looped into the mix as well. And they're cycling this all between themselves. And when you see that, it looks like, oh, we've got this phenomenal growth and we're getting all this. Is that actually happening?
Right.
I think that we are seeing a disproportionate disconnection between the regular everyday people, the actual middle class, and even the upper middle class to what we are seeing in these headlines, because they throw around these sensational numbers. And we think, okay, cool, this money's going to hit me anytime now. And I don't know about you, Brian, but it hasn't hit my bank account yet.
No, and if it was going to, it's going to take some serious time too. And it's not going to be worth what it was when you first saw it.
Absolutely.
Less.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm not sure how many of you people out there in WTF land have friends in tech, but I've seen sincere, massive amounts of layoffs, but again, stemming from like COVID. We may remember Facebook, Meta, all these companies were doing tremendous hiring over the pandemic. And even though the pandemic, was 2020, and now that we're in 2025, people are like, man, that's so long ago. Well, guess what? Now these people are also being downsized. And that's a very, very unfortunate thing. So when the corporations are cycling the money amongst each other, it doesn't mean that it's going to necessarily, and I'm putting that caveat on there, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good for Joe and Jill America. So yeah, that's I found that quite interesting. For those of you, please chime in. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that. We got a lot of comments coming in, and understand here, guys, we are either going to crash and burn, or we're going to listen and learn today, as we're doing a lot of the production itself. I keep it a buck and change, Brian. I'm not going to hide. Well, you're going to do the whole thing today. Sounds good, Steve. Thank you very much. All right. So yeah, let's go on into our next part, and this kind of turns. This is also tied to the 4% GDP growth. as well. And it says dollars, yields, and markets respond to mixed signals. The dollar weakened versus major currencies amid certain uncertainty and key data releases. Money, fiat currency. Okay. You've probably studied money a lot more than I have, Brian. What have you seen about this whole business?
So it's kind of weird because the U.S. dollar is the currency of the world.
Right.
So it's kind of funny. So when there's uncertainty in the U.S., it can have this ripple effect across multiple, currencies.
Right.
And so right now, the dollar was pretty strong, but now we have this government shutdown that we're now seeing in the headlines, and that's providing a lot of uncertainty around the U.S. dollar. So that's causing a ripple effect, not just in the U.S. but across other countries, and that's not a good thing. So that's not a good thing at all. What that means is you're going to see weakening of fiat currencies potentially,
right? Because
of the government shutdown that's being talked about right now. And if there is a shutdown, holy crap, that's going to cause a shit show, to be honest. Not just here, but potentially in other countries. So,
Brian, I want to bring something up here. I was doing a little bit of research as well last night, and there's been government shutdowns, threats of government shutdowns that have happened in the past. And the cool thing about the internet is that we have pretty loud voice. The unfortunate thing is that it doesn't last very long. If we've looked into the history of government shutdowns, very rarely does it actually reflect in our markets.
Correct.
And these the difference between this particular government shutdown and previous government shutdowns is the Trump effect. And Trump has said that basically, if there is a shutdown, well, guess what? We are going to be laying off massive amounts of government workers and employees. And I find that a bit challenging because we just went through this with Doge. Did we not listen to what we just went through with Doge? Did we not learn what we just went through with Doge? And for those of you who don't realize it, and please verify on your own basis, Doge did tremendous employee cuts to the government.
Yes.
And then slowly they trickled a lot of those people right back into government. They realized, oh my gosh, the public sector is not like the private sector where we can just downsize and efficientize. Say what you will about government bloat. Say what you will about, massive overspending. Sometimes those people in these positions actually need to be there. And there is a degree of where we're talking about public oversight and we're talking about certain government policing positions. You kind of want to have as many people on board as possible so things don't slip through the cracks.
Yeah. And what happened with Doge, because everybody was excited about it. Oh my gosh, the government's going to try to become efficient. Because I'll be honest, I mean, I've known a lot of government employees in my time. I've actually interviewed many of them. They are not very efficient. They're not motivated. They're not motivated the same as the public sector, right? Because the effect of what you just said there, St. James, what you just said, their jobs are fairly secure, even if they don't do a good job, right? We just let a bunch of them go because maybe didn't need a bunch of them, but guess what? They slowly came back in. So their job security is pretty secure, even if they're not really doing a good job at what they do. In the private sector, it's the opposite. If you don't do a good job, you're on the cutting block, right?
Exactly. Yep.
And then the private sector cannot absorb all those jobs. So if you get rid of a bunch of government, people, the private sector cannot, absorb those people. So that's a huge effect right there. And yes, it did get rid of some spending, right? But are we going to see the debt stop going up in the U.S. because of that? No.
I certainly hope not. I really do.
It'd be great if we didn't get into more debt as a country, but that's not happening right now. We're not seeing that correlation. And that's what I think a lot of people, myself included, wanted to see, was the national debt slowing down. But man, we didn't really see that correlation, unfortunately. And so you're right. Yeah, a bunch of these jobs came right back, which is just going to keep repeating the cycle of, print money and pump it into the system and have more inflation.
And it'll be a tremendous house of cards. I'm sure we mentioned this a little bit in the intro here. The level of growth that the gold asset has done. I believe gold is up 40% this year alone. Yes. And I don't know what silver is at. If somebody knows what silver is at, please let me know, because I need to see how much my holdings are. And Brian, you better not try to break into my house like you did last time and try to steal all my treasure. So
mine right here.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. And I remember people who are saying, look, you need to buy these precious metals ASAP. For those of you who don't know, the US dollar used to be backed by gold. It used to be backed by silver. If you look at old notes before Richard Nixon, they used to say that this is a silver note. And now money is a fiat currency. It is based upon the faith of the U.S. government. And I just feel like now that I'm starting to talk about gold and a few different things, this is not investment advice. All views and opinions are solely a reflection of Saint James and not a reflection of Chris Noggle, WTF, Brian Fouts, or any associated parties thereof, and are meant for purely entertainment purposes only. Just had to get that disclaimer out there. But guys, I do want you to understand that if you do not have a diversified portfolio backed by some solid and tangible assets, I think you are doing yourself a disservice. Even though I am not myself, I'm not a millionaire. What I do is I emulate the millionaires that are around me and the strategies that they've used in order to become as stable and secure as possible. But what I do like is that my banking policy still feels very secure. My IBC policy that I have with a company is because through depressions, recessions, they've always paid a dividend. And I think that's something that's very, very key there.
Yeah, yeah. And Anthony here mentioned, the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, which is when, by the way, IRS taxes and the whole journey to getting us off the gold standard started in 1913. Because before 1913, we didn't have like all these taxes, all these things we have nowadays, but we still functioned as a country. That, by the way, if you want to go back and study that, I'm not going to get into it today. That's amazing. We didn't have inflation really before 1913 all that much. We didn't have all these taxes, this huge government. 1913 is what started that whole thing. But with if you study this, what's amazing is that it got us off the gold standard. But what about all the other fiat currencies in the world?
Right. And was that the whole Jekyll Island
collab?
Okay, exactly.
Yeah,
now,
they actually got us locked into the US dollar. And it removed all of the major countries that relied upon us off their standard as well and relied upon the gold or the dollar. So all of a sudden, the dollar became the currency of the world. And it's an amazing journey how they did it. And Nixon, of course, was the final straw. But man, to put us back on the gold standard, I've read how to do that. It would be amazing, but you'd have to abolish the Federal Reserve.
I don't really conversate too much about the Federal Reserve, but I understand a lot of your guys' frustrations with it. And I'm not sure if you brought your tin hat today, Brian, but I am putting on mine real quickly. So I'm not sure if you've heard about this, Brian. And if anybody there in WTF land and the internet has heard this, but they say there might be an overreaching goal to actually get the dollar out of the regular US dollar and move everything to USDT, which is why you're seeing some of these companies like Circle emerge, where we are going to be moving to basically a complete digital dollar. And to take this even a step further, certain corporations will be allowed to print their own digital dollars and actually insert that into the global economy. And I don't know how you feel about that, but that literally scares the crap out of me. I am not ready for that, even though I've been a big follower of crypto, but I feel that it deserves a separation between there should be a separation between cryptocurrency and what we use as a country. I know that it could help us remit payments faster. It could help us get through the ACH faster so that when you make a payment, it's remitted just that quickly. But at the same time, I will know, Brian, every single time you've spent $1 everywhere. And I know you've got some weird places. I know you're on shinybaldguys.com. It's a great website, mind you. Just him posing with no shirt on. You guys can look him up. He's one of the most followed people out there. But I don't want all that traceability coming back to every single person. If you're libertarian, I'm sure that you definitely agree with that there.
Yeah, the blockchain, man, it records everything. And when we mean everything, every transaction in history is going to be recorded there. And so when I used to have a course that taught, cryptocurrency investing. I don't do that anymore, but one of the things that kept coming up when we were going through it is, well, what if I want to go buy something and I don't want it to be recorded or tracked, right? You can't do that really with cryptocurrency because it's digital footprint. We've all heard that before. You leave that trail. The government, they can see all that stuff potentially, right? And so that's the one thing that I've always said. There's always going to have to be some way to transact in person without kind of electricity involved, essentially, right? How do you do that? Right? How do you do that? Because I mean, Dexter says, live off grid. Let's start trading again. So, by the way, I live in North Idaho, out in the middle of nowhere. Like, you know, our transactions are literally done in guns and ammo sometimes. And I'm not joking. I have a truck that I traded for a rifle for, you know? So there's always a way to transact. It's what you give value to, right? And so
that is true.
Currency and dollars are the same way. It's what you give value to. And like, you know, right around here, no one does cryptocurrency. Nobody does.
Right.
So that's a good point you brought up there. I haven't thought about it in quite a while, but yeah, I mean, if you went to a digital currency, how are people going to transact in person?
What is interesting is some of you guys may want to look this up. Local communities have actually developed their own dollar that's within the realm of the United States laws, and they've got great designs for their money. I've seen a few mock-ups. And should this scenario actually play through, and I think it'll take 20 years as opposed to 30 years and a lot of consistent small little nudges into this direction, but you will see micro communities maybe out there in Bubblefuck, Idaho, or Idaho or Iowa. And you'll have the bullet dollar, right? Where 20 bullets gets you one chicken. I don't know what exactly that would be, but there will be people who will ostensibly definitely want to stay away from this. And they're going to want their freedom dollars. And they're going to want to say, look, I will trade you this for this. And there will be those holdouts. Meanwhile, there will be other people who are going to massively adopt this. So speaking of massive adoption, the U.S. economy has expanded at a 3.8 annualized rate in Q2. Now, this has been a revised estimate here, and it was driven by stronger consumer spending, reduced import drag, and an increase in IP and tech-related investments. So this kind of ties together to what we were talking about with NVIDIA and all of these huge mega corporations that's been going on. And quite frankly, I'll say this, I don't believe these numbers in their entirety. There's always a nuance once you mention numbers. You know, there's an old phrase that men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. But the numbers that some men and women say are very nuanced, and they paint a picture that may or may not be true. I think a lot of you guys, again, you feel that, okay, great, we're seeing this, but remember what happened in April that drove the economy down. Brian, do you remember?
No. What are you referring to?
We're talking about Liberation Day.
Oh,
Liberation Day. We saw basically the stock market absolutely plummet. And, you know, people are saying, you know, the entire stock market, the entire U.S. economy is going to crash. And maybe I was a bit alarmist when that happened. I had people, you know, texting me, emailing me, saying, like, what's going on? Like, where should I put my money? I just saw my 401k plummet by 25, 30%. My life is over. Well, reason number one, don't have so much money tied up into your 401k if you feel that, you know, life is over. If it plummets 20 to 30%. Obviously, don't turn down free money either. But at the same time, when you say, okay, you're starting from here, you're down 30%. Your next marking says you're up here. Well, that's where you were a little bit earlier than April. So if you look at the year to date, when I was looking at the numbers, and unfortunately, guys, I don't have my notes, we're not actually up 30% over the entire year. We're like up maybe about 14%, which is good. And I will testament that to a lot of our AI. But I'm wondering, where are some of the blind spots that you feel that the markets are overlooking and the news spots are overlooking there, Brian?
So one thing, when you look at the markets, you got to understand that you're just seeing emotion. That's all it is emotion. And the successful investors remove emotion from the equation. But 90+% of, I think it's 95% of the people that are invested in the markets operate on an emotional level.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So what you're seeing right there is just the general masses, and you're riding that exact same wave. That's what's going on. And so that's why only 8% of people that really are in the markets make the majority of the money. It's that 8% because they remove emotion from it. So you've got to understand that you're seeing a reaction. So like the Liberation Day, the tariffs, all that was people reacting, even corporations reacting to that. That's what's going on. And I used to day trade, by the way. And so, yes. And it's very challenging to day trade. But when you're doing that kind of stuff, what you're looking at is emotions. And you have to understand that. But the hardest thing as a day trader was to remove my emotions. And so all you've got to look at is what happened. What's the trigger? What is the trigger that they made everybody react emotionally? So obviously we know April what it was. Okay, so here's the thing you do: the opposite of everybody else. I mean, that's really kind of one of the things to think about. So,
and
again,
WTF? Chris Noggle does not advise any of this. This is purely entertainment.
Exactly. So, like, you saw all this emotion happen and it went up. What that's going to mean is, because emotions are very short-lived, they're like they sizzle and they are gone, is a slowdown. Potentially going to have a slowdown in the rest of this year because of that. Because emotions ran high, then everybody got tired and fizzled out. It's going to have the opposite reaction. So we could see a slowdown in the markets right now because of that. Now, how do you remove emotions? Well, that's why we love infinite banking, IBC, because we're removing the emotions from our money and we're putting it into a stable environment that we control, that has guarantees and growth, and is removed from the global market. I mean, gee, that sounds pretty cool, right?
Sounds amazing. I've been using mine a lot lately. I'm renovating a rental property right now, and I'm, as opposed to me taking money out of my savings account, I just take it from my policy, and the money is still consistently growing at a rate, and I get to pay that back. Well, I'm not paying it back. Actually, my tenants will be paying it back.
Love that.
And my money never stopped growing while I had a withdrawn, because I took a loan from the actual insurance agency. But speaking of stocks, I got some trivia for you, Brian, and this also goes out to all the viewers out there. What has been year to date the number one stock in America? What is the number one stock, guys? You got about 5 minutes, but we're going to talk about home sales, and if nobody can answer that, I'm going to tell you guys. And don't cheat. Internet, I know you love to cheat. Okay, I would cheat too. I think I see Brian cheating himself as well. That's okay, Brian.
Well, it's got to be with AI. It's got to be tech.
You think it's got to be tech? That's kind of close. Not really, but it's not. No, it's not what you think. No, one of the top performing stocks this year, thus far, has not been tech. It's been something else. I thought it was something. I thought I had the winner because I was holding a big stock that's very well known, and when this came across my feed, I said, there's no way, because I had been holding that stock over the pandemic. And then I said, I'm tired of it because, again, emotion and trading. I saw it dip 15, 20%. And I just said, okay, that's it. This thing will never come back. The boom is over. I've made my money. Time to, hit the eject button and get out, because I have a emotional account, as well as one I never check ever in my life. I say, if I check this, I'm done for. But
not Microsoft then.
Oh, it's definitely not Microsoft. Oh, heck no.
That was actually going down, I thought.
Come on, Dexter, Shauna. We've got a lot of people in the chat right now. Yeah. Let us know what you think the number one performing stock of this year is. But before I give that big reveal, Brian, how's your house? Does it feel good? Is the roof good?
No, actually, it's not.
I'm terribly sorry to hear that. Guess what? I found a leak in my roof as well. And so none of our homes are doing good. But what is doing good, apparently, is that pending home sales rebounded in August. All right. Contracts signed for existing homes rose 4% month over month in August, beating expectations. So year over year, pending home sales were up about 3.8%. This suggests that some renewed buyer interest, likely helped by a modest decline in mortgage rates. Now, for those of you who I've pissed off in the past, talking about, please don't lower interest rate. Please don't lower interest rates. I'm not going to say that you're right, and I'm not going to say that I was wrong. All I'm going to say is wait and see. I understand that America needed a relief and that people did want to buy homes. It's just that I don't want to see home prices skyrocket. In my personal opinion, I feel that if you lower interest rates, home prices are still going to stay where they're at unless there is a huge surplus of homes that are available. But given the migratory patterns of people from states from like California and New York, where, yes, it is massively overpriced, to amazing states like Idaho. You're like Boise was one of the fastest growing cities. Am I not mistaken?
Oh, it's fast growing. Yeah. And we don't like that fact, actually, to be honest.
No, you don't. But that's okay. There'll be more dissemination of California ideals to the wonderful state of Iowa.
No. That's exactly why we say we don't like seeing Boise grow, because it's a lot of people from the coast coming in because they want to get away from that, but they're bringing that economic, thought process with them, which we don't like to see, because it can affect the state. So yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember Mark Calloway even said, hey, we got plenty of room in taxes, just don't bring the politics. And I found that quite interesting. I think there's always something to be said about when people have a collision of politics. Like right now, I just met I have a long lost cousin who lives down in Tennessee, and he's a staunch, conservative. But the thing is, when we were all at the dinner table, we got to be able to not only break that cultural taboo of talking about politics at the dinner table, but actually see where each of us are coming from. So potentially, by having these silos, these scientific, these idealistic silos are actually what's creating a stronger divide between us. Maybe, just maybe, by having a few ideas from this side and a few ideas on this side and seeing where we actually come together, we're going to move together as a nation. Because trust me, there is so much disinformation on both sides. It's ridiculous. And I realized something. Can I give you a confession, Brian?
Let's do it.
I have a conservative feed. I actually have a persona online that is a conservative feed. And when I saw certain videos that were showing the inconsistencies of the Democrats in some of their lines of speech and ideology, I was like, I don't want to hear it. I'm turning it off. How many Americans do you think feel the same way on either side?
Yeah, it's a good point that you bring up right there, is that if you want to, be well-rounded, you've got to listen to both sides. You can't just turn one off and only listen to one side, because then your thought process, your subconscious programming, as I call it, because I'm big in the mindset, is going to be so lopsided, and you can't have proper dialogue. Like, think of Charlie Kirk. Obviously, we all know that. What did he do? Open dialogue from both sides, right?
Absolutely.
Listen to both sides, and that's what you don't see happening currently right now in politics, or people that have very strong beliefs in one way or another. They're not listening to both sides, and that's something you do. And I try to do it. To be honest, I try to listen to both sides.
You know what? That's the first step. And I'm not going to make this as a kumbaya moment. Unfortunately, I don't have Nagy on here to yell at and for him to yell at me. I'm feeling kind of left out, but it's okay. Perhaps we need to step away from saying, look, let's just go ahead and duke it out, intellectually, and say, okay, look, what is our starting points? We know that there's a housing crisis in America. What do we need to do in order to make this work? What are some other solutions that all of us can provide in terms of fixing the U.S. economy, whether it be debt, whether it be housing, whether it be unemployment, and saying, okay, here's a collaborative effort that we can do. Maybe we have government buildings that we're not using, and maybe we can auction off those unused government buildings and actually have them transitioned into affordable housing, or just, under market housing. Granted, these people are going to be in government buildings. They may have not the most aesthetically pleasing, but at the same time, these are some of the most well-built buildings in all of America. Because they were built to last. I don't care what side of where you're coming from. These government buildings are god-awful, ugly, brutalist architecture, but at the same time, whether rain, sleet, snow, or hail, or something that's about to fail, they're going to be there in the future. So these are the answers that we need to start coming forward for, and stop, saying, oh, these guys don't know what they're talking about, because we need housing. We need, effective solutions other than just adjusting interest rates.
Yeah. And also, the one thing too, that if you ask about fixing the economy, housing is a big part of it, because there's three things you have to survive: food, clothing, shelter.
Yes.
But there's one thing that I also believe in, and it's control. Control of money, by the way, is a big one, because what happens is that when you are trading time for money, when you rely upon the government or an employer for your money, you're giving control to somebody else, because they control your time and money, right? And I always tell that I always want to control three things, right? It's money, it's time, and it's mindset.
There you go.
And if you start to understand that the control is where it lies, I think that's one of the biggest ways that we can fix, the economy, is giving people back control of their money. Because think before 1913, before those kind of things, people had to be in control of their financial future. They didn't rely upon the government. There was no 401k. There weren't even pensions back then very often. So you had to be responsible for your future. And now people don't want to be responsible for their future. They want to give control away and have the, hope and dream that, hey, I'm going to be fine in retirement, but you're not. Oh, the government's going to take care of me, Social Security. Oh my gosh. what's happened to me over the last, call it 100 years is this huge shift from us being responsible to relying upon the government to be responsible for us. And that, if you can't tell, that one really gets me riled up. It's ridiculous. It's like, the government's going to take care of me. I don't want to have to be responsible. Like that to me is one of the biggest things we have. Now that's a very 30,000 foot kind of issue.
Of course. Yeah.
How do you really implement that? I mean, that's not for me to decide, but that's a big one, big challenge right there.
I believe the government does have an onus to its citizens, especially ones who have done so many things for the country in terms of paying taxes, paying into Social Security, etc. There is an onus by government to provide for its citizens and its constituents in their later years of life when maybe they're not as capable. There should be a social safety net. It's just that how low or how high that social safety net is usually the most debatable point.
Right.
I think that's but we got to keep it moving here. We got a little bit of a kind of a conflicting report. So help me parse this out. Pending home sales rebounded in August. Contracts for signing rose 4%. But existing home sales remain weak. Despite the bump in signings, existing home closings for August slightly dipped 0.2% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 4 million units. That would be one of the slowest years for existing home sales in decades. So we're saying existing home sales remain weak, but pending home sales rebounded in August. I'm not going to try and go through the weeds on this son bitch, Brian. I'm going to tell you this. Some people are happy that interest rates went down. They went out and bought some homes. Okay. But guess what? Not enough people are buying homes. So we're still right back where we were in the middle of this whole housing thing. Whatever. I don't like that one. So
I can't really speak to that one. My family, we have a home that we put up for sale, and within, I think it was a week or two, we had an offer. It was a little bit less than what we were asking, which is kind of a differentiation from what it was years ago. But I mean, the offer came in really fast, but it wasn't like before when you're having 3 to 4 offers. This was one, and it took a week to get it. That's a big difference, right? I remember used to getting, hey, the day that it went on the market, you get 4 offers. It's not like, as you said, it's not that way anymore. So yeah, it's really conflicting information. I'm kind of looking at it from the, that's a short-term snapshot. I'm kind of looking at what's the, going to look like over the next 6 to 12 months. That's where I'm kind of trying to focus on right now.
That's right, guys. Look at the signs. Look at the signs everywhere. I didn't see this in the feed for our notes for today, but I'm going to tell you this. First, I got to answer your question, my question, the trivia question. I didn't see anybody make any notes, guys. Put in your last minute notes. I know we had almost a kumbaya moment here. What up, Shauna? What up, Devin? What up, Lynn? What's up, Chris? Great to see you guys. All right, Palantir and NVIDIA. Ooh, those were very good guesses. Now, Devin, I will say Palantir has had an amazing year. I am conflicted. Brian, I am conflicted about holding Palantir stock because I'm not a big fan of Big Brother, nor am I a big fan of Peter Thiel. I think that dude, if you're worried about, if people like Chris are worried about Taylor Swift being the Antichrist, I mean, then Palantir and Peter Thiel are wiping her bumhole because listen, this dude is a weirdo. I don't care where you're from. That dude is a weirdo. And I don't trust it, but he's got an amazing technology as a government contractor. He's making lots of stuff, but the number one stock that has performed thus far is Build-A-Bear. Did you know that?
No, Build-A-Bear.
Build-A-Bear, I believe, is up 55% this year. The last time I checked, I'm not going to pull up my phone, but it's been one of the number one, if not the number one stock performing this calendar year to date. And it's because we have people, both young and old, who are looking to commemorate where they're at, what they're doing, giving special gifts. Remember, it's one of the best birthday gifts that you could ever give somebody. And it's popping up in more locations where people are looking to remember where they are at. So you're seeing it on cruise ships. You're seeing it in airports. You're seeing Build-A-Bear pop-up locations pop up all over the place wherever people are commemorating a very, very special event. So it's the perfect gift. This is not a paid endorsement for Build-A-Bear, but Build-A-Bear, if you would like to toss me a bear or something like that, I'll happily take that over one of those god-awful, scary Labubu dolls. Looks like, Brian, you may have one crawling around in your background there as well, so that's awesome.
Well, I got a nice little 8-legged friend that I found this yesterday in my office. The second Black Widow this week I found in my office.
Oh, that's a Black Widow.
Yeah.
You have some strange hobbies, my friend. That will keep me out of Idaho. You don't have to worry about me bringing me or my politics out to Idaho because we don't have those in New York. Keep it for yourself. The only Black Widows that I like are in the Avengers.
Yep.
Okay,
that was
so
going to be burned. Believe me, it's not going to survive today.
All right, we're going to move on to WTF USA. I don't have the bumper for that, so I'll do the dance. I'm not doing it again. You could do that dance, but let's move on to the United States. So the risk of the U.S. government shutdown. We did touch on this briefly. Now, tell me from your perspective, Brian, what exactly is going on with this government shutdown, and why is it being so persistent and consistent?
To me, it's because we have not seen a reduction in spending. That's a big part of it. So we're spending more than we should be, and so we're running out of money. And this is a perpetual cycle. Like you actually mentioned it. So people mentioned Doge. Well, Doge was supposed to reduce government spending, get rid of waste. So why are we having a government shutdown looming again? My opinion, because nothing has really changed all that much in the global system, global politics or U.S. politics. Nothing's really changed all that much. I just saw Trump was going to spend like some ungodly amount of money on, I can't remember what it was, but I was like, wait a second. So
everything,
$600 million is going to be spent on what? And where's that money coming from?
Brian, we tried to warn you. We tried to warn you. That's all I'm going to say. We tried to warn y'all. But guess what? You've got a ballroom. So, no rose garden, but we got a ballroom. I mean, but Trump's paying it from his own pocket. Sure. I've been, in my socials, I've been limited in my socials, and it seems like the image that's being painted is that Democrats are holding out from the vote using a filibuster in order to say, hey, look, we're not going to vote on this bill. We're going to stand up for what we have. And at this point, they are the little guys in the room. They are the ones who don't control any of the House. They don't control the Senate. And they're using whatever means that they can to basically fight. And Trump is holding over them. Hey, look, if you don't do this government shutdown, we're just going to fire a lot of people, kill two birds with one stone. And one of the crucial crux points about this seems to be medical care, medical insurance, Medicare, Medicaid. And what's being illustrated is saying, hey, look, we are not paying for medical insurance, medical care for unregistered Americans. You could say illegals, whatever the term is that you guys want to choose. And I don't think that that's being necessarily painted in the right light. So here's how we can put this whole thing into focus. While I think the vast majority of us will say, hey, look, if we don't have the money, we can't spend it on people who are undocumented Americans. I think that is pretty much a bipartisan agreement. What there seems to be is a little loophole, a nuance that if somebody is seeking asylum, if there is a refugee that comes in from Ukraine, they also will not be afforded any type of health care. And that's where the actual division is actually sitting at. Now, I understand if you're somebody who doesn't want to listen to anything that the other side has to say, I'm not going to convince you, but I would say, take the time, look into it and say, is this actually true? Because what if it's actually true? Granted, I know that there is a power play, but guess what? This is politics. And nobody ever won politics by playing clean. They will fight tooth and nail and very, very dirty and sling a lot of mud. But with this government shutdown, we saw that the NASDAQ, all the indexes still went up on Monday in lieu of an emerging government shutdown. So what does that really say? Like, people are just going to keep it rolling because they don't want to see their markets divide. Have you heard anything else within relation to this?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've been looking at is how does the markets react to a government shutdown? Mm-hmm. Right? Remember, emotions. Okay. Mm-hmm. Has the market slowed down? Mm-hmm. Not really. No. In fact, it's on the opposite. Why is that? So I haven't really seen anybody talk about this or any kind of articles, but this is my opinion on this one is we're sick and tired of this shit. We're sick and tired of the shutdowns. We're sick and tired of the fighting, at the high levels of politics. And so emotionally, we're checked out. We're kind of ignoring this government shutdown thing because we've seen it so many dang times and nothing ever freaking changes. So emotionally, a lot of people are not reacting to it. What's emotion? The markets react upon emotions. We're not seeing the markets react to it. That's kind of my take on it. Now, if it does have a massive impact, you're going to see massive emotional reaction to it, though. But we're just kind of like, we're numb to it because it's never really affected a lot of us whenever it happens. We see the headline, oh, government's going to shut down again, whatever. They're going to freaking print money and keep on doing the same crap. It doesn't matter what side you're on, by the way, in my opinion. They all have done it. We're seeing it again. This one maybe is different because of Trump, because he definitely does rewrite the rules, not always in a good way or bad way or anything, but maybe. But that's my opinion right now. Is we're not seeing the emotional reaction to it that we have seen in the past.
Oh, well, welcome to the new boss, same as the old boss. And just to address Morgan, I act as if this did not happen under the previous administration. I absolutely admit, yes, this definitely happened under previous administrations. There's always been misspending. You could name any president, blue, red, or a gunshot to the head, all of them. No shots to Lincoln. That would be. There has always been something that's going on. Yeah. And yes, there have been some private donations. It's just whenever I get a chance to kind of throw in a jab there, I'm going to do it. Can't help it. But that's the key thing, is that I don't overlook what happens in the past, but I give any administration the same level of critique that I did do the previous administrations. Mm-hmm. That's the key thing. It's when I see people who are looking to give a blind eye to some of the misdoings and misgivings that are going on in certain administrations, and then are willing to give it a pass somewhere else. Like, come on now. I want to kind of talk about this. Let's face it. In Oregon, did you hear of a crisis going on in Portland? Was there some national crisis that was going on in Oregon that I didn't know about? Did you hear about this, Brian?
No.
Did anybody in the chat, have you guys heard of some super imminent crisis that was going on in Portland, Oregon, the home of organic chicken and jugglers and buskers?
I've lived there before.
Yeah. I mean, granted, I know that there's a lot of homeless people, but guess what? People who are unhoused, homeless, they generally flock to where there's good weather so that they can live there year round, as opposed to basically having a mortality status. Part of my IG speak here, having a mortality status in some of the northeast states. So I don't see how that's warranted. Now, here's the caveat. You ready for this here, Brian? Here's a blind spot that a lot of people don't know. When you serve in the National Guard, you don't actually get paid until your 30th day. They are getting cycled out on their 29th day.
Yeah, I've heard that.
That's a dirty dick move. That's dirtier than a dirty dick dog rolling around with a frog. And I don't like that mess. And we've seen the videos of them cleaning up and doing all these duties when they could be at home with their families. And I don't see how this actually makes sense in today's economy. They could be at work, they could be producing, they could be at home with their families. But instead, they're policing essentially a city that is not known for being high in crime, a city that is pretty much as chill and as expensive as it gets. And granted, yes, there is a particular problem. I'm sure that those of you who've gone to Portland, you've seen that, there are a lot of people who are living on the streets. But exactly what is the National Guard in a position to actually do to curtail that particular issue? And unfortunately, I find that unfounded. So we see more stuff about home sales, but let's get to this because we're running out of time. Your boy, Ty Lopez. What's up with Ty Lopez, bro? This is all you, brother.
Oh, man. So I don't know if any of you guys know who Ty Lopez is. Some of you probably do. He's been in the internet marketing game for a long time. Big name in that space. I've never actually bought anything from him. I've just been the peripheral for a long time. And I've seen a lot of his stuff. I've known a lot of people who have actually bought his products or been to his events and that kind of stuff. But he was the flashy guy, showing the big house, showing the cool cars, and really just kind of shoving that in your face. Mm-hmm. And but I've heard from a lot of people. This is before the current news, which we'll get to in a moment. That he's kind of not a very nice person to be around. I'm being very nice when I say that, by the way. He's a very big head, all that kind of stuff. And recently, this is about maybe 3-4 years ago, he came out with this thing where he was buying bankrupted brands, Radio Shack, Pier 1 Imports, that kind of stuff. and he started buying all these things up, and he was raising investor capital to do this. And then apparently the plan was to put these brands online and start selling their wares online. Now, here's the crazy thing. Now, I knew a big investor, by the way, that got in with him too. A big, I won't name his name, but he got into it and was pushing it on. This is in a mastermind that I was a part of, by the way. So this gentleman was partnered up with Ty Lopez.
Okay.
And he was in this big mastermind called the BA, Board Advisors, in Florida. And he was pushing it. And I think people in there were even investing into it. And I remember I was like, you don't even approach me with that stuff. And and here's the thing. Over the years, I have not seen any of those brands selling anything online.
True.
Not once. And I'm like, well, wait a second. When I go look for this kind of thing, I would expect for Radio Shack to pop up as one of the biggest suppliers of this thing because it's Radio Shack. Nothing. And so he raised, I guess it's $116 million or something like that. And now he's being investigated by the SEC as a Ponzi scheme. So for those who don't know, how do you categorize a Ponzi scheme versus just a regular investment? It's when they start raising more investor capital to pay out existing investors.
That's right.
A Ponzi scheme. Okay. So he's now being investigated by them, and they're saying that he and his partner, by the way, they're alluding that he took 16 point something million for personal expenses out of the business, and it's insane. And all of the brands that he bought, I don't know how many there are. Apparently, none of them have turned a profit. They've turned a revenue, but no profit. If you have no profit, you can't pay investors. But he still is paying investors. Some of them. So that's the thing right there, and that's a big deal because he was a very big name in this space, and that's a big amount of money.
Well, that shows us something. Yeah. We have people who have tremendous amount of marketing influence. You say their name and people automatically jump to attention. We'll talk about like a Gary Vee or even a Grant Cardone, where you say their name, you know what they represent, and their track record of at least being an astute business person is certified. And we're seeing a lot of up and comers too. We're seeing people who are saying, just buy businesses and don't necessarily buy real estate, buy a laundromat or something of that nature. So we develop a lot of trust by their persistency and consistency via social media or their email letters or just people such as you and I talking about them. But when we see this basically break of trust, it says a lot, and it makes it harder for all the people who are being honest to actually be able to serve the better good for America and people from around the world. Radio Shack. I remember some people saying like, yo, he's bringing back Radio Shack. Bro, my kids don't know what Radio Shack is. So this is a brand that I don't want. Pier 1 Imports. No, like the brand alone, the umbrella of all these products was very, very broad. And generally you want to start kind of like how Amazon did. You want to start with just the tip of the spear. You just want to go with one product that you do very, very strong. Amazon started with just books.
Yeah.
But Ty went with electronics over here and Pier 1 Imports got furniture. And all of it online. And sometimes now, Wayfair withstanding, a lot of these brands aren't able to do well unless you have massive, more marketing behind them. And that next level never happened. And it's just interesting. Like grifters be grifting, man. They be grifting real bad.
Yeah, and I know people that have bought his stuff and they're saying, it just seemed kind of very surface level. Where was all of the effort going into? The marketing, like you just said, but not the actual delivering the value. Because if you don't have value behind the marketing, you're not going to last long. And unless you do something criminal, which potentially, potentially is what happened here. But the other thing to keep in mind, so I've unfortunately been on the around a couple Ponzi schemes, didn't get into any of them, fortunately, but I've seen them happen and unfold. There's kind of two kinds that happen. There's the one where they start out with a legit idea, a legit concept, and it doesn't go as planned, right? It doesn't go as planned. And then they turn into a Ponzi scheme because they don't want to lose face. They don't want to not pay their investors. So then they become a Ponzi scheme. The other side of it is where they start out legitimately trying to be evil. And I've seen that one as well. And those the ones that are legitimately evil, those ones, they don't last long unless they're very, very, very good. There's one gentleman, of course, we all know, that did that very well. But but I've seen a lot of them where they're like maybe a few years and they get destroyed because they get uncovered. But in order to do a legit Ponzi scheme, you have to compartmentalize your people. Like they don't know what the right hand is doing. They're reporting back to one major group or people that are operating the Ponzi scheme, and then they're making it look legit because their employees or their parts of the company are all compartmentalized in a box.
Absolutely.
You know, whereas maybe with these ones, it didn't start out that way, but it's just unfortunately that that this is happening because, as you said, it taints everybody. It makes it look like, hey, when there's an opportunity, everybody's going to look at it, very negatively, and it makes it hard for investors, people that want to invest their money, to feel like they're being presented good opportunities.
Absolutely.
And especially in the digital space, because he was in the digital space, and right now with all the AI and all that kind of stuff, there are a lot of opportunities in the digital space to invest.
Absolutely. That's true. A lot of entry-level jobs that would be generally done by an entry-level person that you would have overhead for. Now, those particular jobs can be done by AI, and it helps you save on your particular business. And where's another good place to learn how to grow your business there, Brian?
What?
The Money Tank that's going to be happening in Orlando, November 7th and 8th. Guys, I can't shout this out enough. Sean, if you could throw a link in the notes there. Guys, we want to see you out there because this is going to be awesome. I actually presented this to a real estate investor out in the hills of New York. And what was interesting is I said, hey, look, I happen to notice that you have a Mickey Mouse ring on. You wouldn't happen to be a big fan of Orlando, would you? And he says, yes. I said, how would you like to have that be part of your investment strategy? He says, what are you talking about? I says, well, we're going to be running a 2-day, basically mastermind called Money Tank, Private Money Club Money Tank, where you're going to be able to talk about your real estate holdings, be able to network with other investors, have somebody invest in you or you invest in them. And maybe in the afternoon, you might be able to see a mouse in a house somewhere. Or we're going to be actually close to Universal Studios. We're going to be at the Lowe's Sapphire in the beautiful Universal Studios. And let me tell you, that this place is awesome. And this is one of those trips where it's going to be fun and function, because I'm going to be able to rub elbows and talk to people, not just inside of a big boardroom, a big conference room, but I may be able to, hey, look, man, we're about to go on this ride over here. We're going to go check some of this stuff out. Do you want to come with us? Because one thing that I've learned from these masterminds and these big conferences is that the money isn't made. The networks aren't grown inside of the conference room because you're usually you're listening to somebody. It's what happens outside.
Yep.
And because of that, I'm really looking forward to this November 7th and 8th. We're going to have a number of different speakers. Obviously, Chris Nagel is going to be speaking there. Bob McIntosh is going to be there. We're going to have all of the usual suspects and a few new ones as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. I have been sworn to secrecy not to give away the goose yet. But all I can say is that if you just take one actionable step from something that you learn at Private Money Club, you will see your net worth increase as long as you follow those steps. So I'm really looking forward to that. We've got time for one more story here, and I want to talk about your boy Pete. I want to talk about Drinky Pete, Hegseth. Now, have you seen him in front of the flag looking like General Patton?
Gosh, I think I saw a picture somewhere online about that.
Well, here's what he said in a nutshell. And yes, I'm going to go ahead and give it the leftist twist, the old leftist twist. He said, "You generals, you're all fat. Anybody who's in the military, if you're fat, you're out. If you have a beard, you're out. Well, you're not allowed to have a beard if you're in the military. So I don't know why he said that. He said that." If you mess with America, you're going to FO and find out. FAFO. And there was a resounding quiet throughout his entire speech from the parts that I saw. So if anybody did see parts where people, the generals and the generals who were actually coming in from war zones, active military zones, were clapping and saying yes and hoorah, maybe they're too disciplined to give a response. They know that they're not supposed to do that, maybe. But there was a resounding deafness. It was just peaceful and tranquil. And even when Trump came up, he said, "Oh man, this is the quietest room I've ever been in," and it's on video.
Yeah.
So he said also, you know what, we're going to restore military standards so that it's men only standards. I know some people are heavily in favor of that. I may have been looking at too many bots who are just resoundingly saying yes. But I, as somebody who has a lot of female family members in the military, I can say that it really offered them a great opportunity to better their lives. I am for females in the military, hands down, toes down, all of that. Okay. Is everybody going to be able to physically do the same job? No, I understand that. To find a woman who can bench press 300 pounds is not necessarily going to happen. But remember, the person who found bin Laden was female. Okay.
Yeah. I read some notes on this thing, and like if it had come from a politician that did not have any military experience, I think it would have been received a lot differently. Now, for those of you that don't know, Hexeth, he was in the military. I don't know what his rank was. Someone probably knows what it was, but he was in the military. He did the deployments. So he's coming at it from experience. So that was definitely something that I listened to, because it did come from experience. But some of the stuff that he did say, because I looked at the bullets, I don't agree with. Like you said, the females, yes, I believe they should have the same opportunity. Yes, they're not doing the same jobs potentially, and that's fine. But yeah, some of the stuff doesn't really make sense to me. But what he's trying to do is trying to get us back to a level of standard that made us the greatest military presence in the world, which we probably still are today, but it's not the same as it was probably 30 years ago, 50 years ago. And I can't say that from experience though, so I can't really say it. I have not done my research into the military and all that kind of stuff, but it's just it's kind of going back to a different way of maybe thinking about it. But I mean, women in the military to me is a good thing.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we're on the same page about that. And one thing that we also have to be on the same page is that this has been an amazing episode. I've really appreciated talking to you today there, Brian. Unfortunately, we didn't get to disagree about a lot of points, but next week, if it's just you and I promise I will find someone with you to debate about, because all this hand holding and good talk, I don't know. It makes me feel like that maybe there might just be a beautiful and amazing future for our political parties and us as a nation still to go. So with that being said, my name is Saint James.
And this is Brian Fouts in Northern Idaho. Appreciate all you guys being here. Appreciate all the comments. And this is awesome. I want to do it again.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And we will see you next week. All right. Let's get this media going. All right. I don't know what this is, but